Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to check our shower pocket to ensure that it is the correct dimensions as our model for it to be able to fit and everything will work properly. So the first thing you want to do is you want to gather the specification sheet for the model that you have. Today I'm going to be installing a 5 lbs 6030 end drain, 7.5, so a 3/4 inch curb height, and then a bead threshold. The width of my unit is 60 inches. So I'm going to ensure that the width of my pocket is 60 inches or a little bit greater for me to be able to slide my pan in and out. So that right there is about 60 1/4 inches. I purposely made this pocket a little bit bigger, as I said, just for convenience to slide the pan in and out. Checking the back just to ensure that my pocket's square. It's not tapering. Again, I'm about 60 1/4 inches over there. Next, we're going to take a look at our depth. Depth of my unit is about 30 inches. So check from the back of the pocket to the front. I obviously have a little bit more than 30 inches because this is just a setup that we did mock up the install for you guys. So now that I've determined that my pocket is the correct dimensions, I need to ensure that my drain is in the correct location as the model and the specification sheet. So now that I've checked the dimensions of my pocket, I've checked the width, I've checked the depth, now I'm going to check that my drain is in the correct location as stated in the specification sheet. So for my specification sheet, my drain from left to right is going to be about 8.5 inches. So 8.5 is about right there. So my drain pipe is correct from left to right. Now I also want to check from back to front. Again, for my specification sheet, that's about 14 inches, just about right here. So we can see that my drain pipe is in the correct location according to the specification sheet. The next step that we want to take is we want to measure that we have the correct box out. From our installation instructions, the box out for this unit is an 8x8. So then again, we take a look over here, and that's about 8 inches. And again, that's about 8 inches. This box out is critical for installation for Bestbath low profile units. So we definitely want to make sure that we have the correct installation or the correct box out, otherwise we will have drainage issues. Now we've measured the pocket dimensions, we've measured our drain location, and we've measured our box out dimensions as well. Next thing we want to make sure is that our subfloor is a flat surface, so it doesn't have any bumps, it doesn't have lows, and that it's level. Because our pans come pre-level from the factory, so if you have a leveled subfloor, you'll be able to just install this easier than if you had an at a level unit. So I'm going to place my level. So that right there is about 0.1% out of level. Just very good. I'm going to check it in a couple spots just to make sure that's not an anomaly. 0.1%. 0.1%. So this is checking my level from left to right. I need to do the same from front to back. There's about 0.1. Again, checking multiple locations just to make sure that we have a consistent subfloor. One of the tools that can be purchased from Bestbath to help you determine the pocket dimensions that are correct, if your drain location is correct, if your pipe is correct, and if your box out is correct, it's what we call an epoxy template. This is also going to help us in a step later down the road, but as I said, this is a tool that you can purchase from Bestbath. That's going to make those checks, initial checks, easier, so it's a little bit smoother. You can see it comes in a red tape or in the red wrapping. That way it doesn't get discarded. It's just a piece of scrap wood. And then I'll show you what it looks like when we remove this. So we remove the red wrapping, and this is what that epoxy template looks like. It has a couple of stickers that say do not discard. It has them both in English and in Spanish. And then it states that it's for shower installation. So again, you know, it doesn't get confusing. And then it also shows where the front of the epoxy template is, so then you don't place it upside down and whatnot. So the cool thing about this is that it also has an octagon. This octagon is the correct dimensions for the box out that I spoke of earlier. And then it also has the location of where the pipe should be. So this is going to check our box out, and it's going to check our drain location as well. And then the epoxy template is the correct width and it's the correct depth of our unit as well. So it helps us check that our pocket is the correct dimensions. And this is how it works. You just slide it into your pocket. You see that octagon is in my box out. And then, so right here we see that the pocket is the correct dimensions and that our drain pipe is centered in our box out, as it should be. It's that easy. So the next step is going to be to do a dry fit of the base in the shower pocket itself. You're just going to grab the pan, slide it in here. It fits nice. You can see that my drain pipe's in the correct location as well. And I'm just going to do some checks to determine that everything is still level and that we have reference points are going to be our sheetrock ledges. This is a molded surface, so this will always be 90 degrees from each other, so that's how we're going to determine this level. So again, my subfloor was level, and then my pan is level from left to right. I'm going to check it from front to back as well. Okay, so next thing is we're going to check that we have slope towards the drain. The way you want to do this is one of the edges, one of the ends of your level has to be pointing towards the drain always. That's the way slope works. You want it to go to the drain. So we're going to create a sweeping motion, again with that end staying to the drain, and you're ensuring that you have slope. So at this point, we've checked that our base is level and that we have slope towards the drain, and we can proceed with installation. So once we get to this point, we're going to grab a Sharpie or a marker. You're going to want to trace the front of your shower. So you're done tracing this. You're going to prop the base up. This is the drain that's provided with Bestbath showers. This is a 2-inch pipe, no caulk drain. And I'm going to show you some of the components. This right here is the locking nut. We're going to take that out. This right here is a fiber gasket. Here is a rubber gasket. The drain body. You have a tightening tool. This right here is the inside compression nut. Take that out. And then this right here is inside compression gasket. So we're going to take the inside compression gasket out. We're going to take the inside compression nut out. And we're going to put the drain body in the pan. You're going to want to put some silicone or plumber's putty around the flanges of the drain. And then you're going to put it in on your pan, on your shower base. And then you're going to want the rubber gasket to make contact with the fiberglass of the shower pan. Just like this. Then you're going to install the fiber gasket and then the compression nut. Okay, so now after we install our drain, we're going to keep our pan propped up, and then we're going to install, or we're going to apply the grid pattern as shown in the installation instructions. So I'm going to show you a real quick way to do it, and then I'm going to show you how to do it with the epoxy template. So if you don't have the epoxy template, this is how you would do it. First thing you want to do is 2 inches from the line drawn before is that first set of epoxy doves that we're going to apply. And then we're going to go about 4.5 inches from the side. So it's about 4.5 inches. And then after that, we're going to go on a 6-inch on center. So that would be about 10.5, 16.5. And then again, 2 inches from the front line. So that'll be somewhere around here. That right there would be our first dollop. Here. Second dollop. Okay, so if you're going to use the epoxy template, you just put it back in your pocket, and then as you can see right here, we already have the holes of where we're going to apply that grid pattern for the epoxy. So just grab a marker. Even easier if you grab a can of spray paint. You just spray paint over it, and then once you remove this, you'll have your locations. So now that you have your grid pattern, what we're going to do is we're going to put the epoxy dollops down. This is a 2-part epoxy provided by Bestbath with your shower. And then it's pretty simple to use, but you got to make sure that you do it right. Otherwise, you're not going to get that chemical reaction to go through. So you do have to use this mixing nozzle for the 2-part chemical to mix together and then have the proper cure that we're looking for. And then you just put in your caulking gun. You can see right there, chemicals mixing. Okay. For the installation of Bestbath low profile showers and shower bases, the epoxy dollop has to be about 1 inch in diameter and about 3/4 of an inch in height. So you can grab a 3/4 of an inch reference to make sure that you're getting the proper height of the dollop, and then you can just estimate the 1 inch diameter. So this is what that's going to look like. And you're just going to continue to do that throughout the grid pattern. Okay, so now we filled in the grid with the epoxy dollops, as you can see right here. A tip that you can do too is you can put some epoxy between 2 pieces of scrap wood, and this is going to help you monitor the cure time for the epoxy for like when this is going to be ready to go. So the next step is going to we're going to set this pan down. We're going to try to be careful not to drag it as much as we can, so then that epoxy would be as undisturbed as we can. You want to make sure that the front of the pan, front of the base, lines up with that line that we did in the previous steps, and then that's how you set it down. So we put our pan down on top of the epoxy dollops, and we just want to do one last quick check to ensure that we are still level. So nothing has changed. My pan is still level, and I'm ready to proceed and put the weight plates on top. After we place the pan down, the next step is we're gonna put this weight plate, we're called weight plates, on top of the shower floor. And the way that these are designed is to help distribute a load along the lines that we previously checked the slopes at. So then that applies pressure and then bonds to the epoxy. This helps distribute that weight evenly, that pressure evenly. You got the sticker of point towards the drain right over here. So that's how it goes. And then you're just going to grab some weight that you have on hand, buckets of water or bags of sand, and do the trick. We recommend about 200 pounds for installation. And then we're just going to continue to monitor our epoxy sample to determine when it's going to be cured enough that we can remove this weight. Well, the purpose of the epoxy in this application is so that we can adhere to the subfloor, but then also once that's cured, it provides support for our base for it to be sturdy and rigid for the user. So we let the sample rest, and then we've been monitoring it, and it's finally gotten to a point that I cannot compress it anymore. And then you can see there, that's solid, it's in there. So at this point, we can take the weights off. Remove the weight plate. In a shower base, it will be permanently adhered to the subfloor. Once we remove the weight plates and the weight, then we can proceed into screwing the unit to the framing. What you want to do is you want to pre-drill first so you can avoid cracking the gel coat. In this case, I have a little gap between my pan and then my framing, so I've included a shim. So pre-drill to avoid cracking the gel coat, and just attach some screws at each stud. And you just proceed to do that out of your studs, and then your pan will be attached to the framing. Now we're going to finish the drain installation. So you're going to grab the compression gasket and the inside compression nut. You're going to ride this compression gasket, and then you're going to put that around your pipe, your shower pipe. Now we're going to grab the inside compression nut. Once you get to a point you can't do that anymore, you're going to grab the tightening tool. You can put a flat head screw in here, and then that's going to help you turn it. But you're going to apply some pressure on that gasket, which will prevent any leaks around your shower pipe. And then finally, you're just going to put the drain screen until it snaps in place.